last week as we kicked off this series. And really, this series is meant to take all of us and help us be stronger in our faith. That's the whole goal. We want to be stronger in our faith. And we're talking about 3 ways in 3 weeks that we can grow stronger in our faith. And last week, we talked about how you play a very important role in your own spiritual growth. We talked about the spiritual progression that takes place in our lives, much like a physical progression, right? That you start out like a baby and then you become a toddler and then you become, the elementary age and then you're a teenager and a young adult and you're fully mature. And in the same way, that progression should work in your spiritual life. That you start out as a baby spiritually and you're drinking the milk and somebody's spoon feeding you and bottle feeding you, but eventually you have to pick up the fork, don't you? And you have to begin to feed yourself if you are going to grow stronger in your faith. Because what we said last week, and this is today's first fill in your notes, that if you're going to grow spiritually mature, you have to feed yourself daily. If you are going to grow spiritually mature, you have to feed yourself daily. Because it's not just the church's job to help you grow, right? In fact, I can't make your faith grow. All we can do is create an environment in which your faith is allowed to grow. Every one of us have to pick up the fork for ourselves. Every one of us have to begin to grow. And so we've got to feed ourselves daily. And this is a great time for a series like this because it's a new year, right? It's a new you. And some of us have health and fitness goals, right? We're not just gonna get in shape spiritually, we're also gonna get in shape physically. And especially for the guys, if you're in your 30s and 40s, you notice that your metabolism starts to crash, doesn't it? And we begin to develop what is, affectionately called the dad bod. And I don't know if you've ever heard the real definition of dad bod, but I wanted to read it to you because it's just so fantastic. Dad bod is the type of physique a man earns when the increasing pressures of work life, married life, and especially fatherhood no longer allow him the time or drive to maintain a toned figure. If human bodies were cuts of meat, the dad bod would be more marbled ribeye than filet mignon. Or if human bodies were sea mammals, dad bod would be more like a grazing manatee than a speedy dolphin. The dad bod is more mudslide than mountain, more soft serve than sorbet, more sad trombone than clarinet, more mashed potato than skinny fry. The dad bod is built for comfort. Isn't that great? The dad bod is built for comfort. And we know what that's like. For those of you in your young adults, your teens and your 20s, and you're laughing at all of us, you just wait. You wait until your metabolism just stops on a dime, right? And all it takes really is a busy season of life and a few trips to the buffet, and you are on your way to the dad bod, which is why there are trainers, right? This is why there's personal trainers to help us overcome the dad bod, to help us grow healthier. And if you've read any health magazine, or if you've been with any trainer, or you know anything about nutrition, they will tell you 2 basic things for physical health. And this is the next fill in your notes. 2 basic things for physical health: calories in and calories out. Calories in and calories out. And let's just pretend that this couch, right? That this is the place, oh man, it's just me and ESPN, it's me and the potato chips, it's me watching the game today. I mean, this is where a lot of calories get taken in, don't they, right? Or maybe for some of you ladies and Levi Kinney, this is where you watch The Bachelor, right? This is where you have your box of chocolates, and this is where the calories in take place. Wouldn't it be great if we could eat our way to rock solid abs? I mean, wouldn't that just be awesome? It would be so great if we could just have slice of pizza after slice of pizza and become more toned in our body. I mean, wouldn't that be awesome? But we all know that's not how it works, right? A lot of calories in. And eventually at some point, we've got to work it out. Eventually at some point, we've got to put on some Lululemon and we've got to get off the couch and we have to begin to go work it out. It's jumping jacks, right? It's push-ups, it's lifting weights, it's getting on the treadmill. And all of that concept is pretty simple. That when you work out, not only does it burn calories, but you begin to build muscle. And the great thing about muscle is that muscle burns calories and fat even when you're not working out. I mean, it's a win-win. And over time, your whole body composition begins to change. It's basic calories in and calories out. That is how your body changes. And while I am sure there is more scientific stuff than just that, I think we'd all agree that it can't be worked out by sitting on the couch. None of us can become physically fit by remaining here on the couch and eating our barbecue chips. No. You cannot do it there. You have to work it out, don't you? You have to work it out. And so while we might agree on all of that, here's the question that we're wrestling with today. What do I do to get spiritually fit? What do I do to get spiritually fit? Last week was all about getting fed. It's how we feed ourselves. It's how we take those calories in. This is wonderful, but how do we get spiritually fit? That if you're here today, you're watching online and you're the curious skeptic, and you're just trying to discover, is there anything real to this Jesus thing? Or if you're here and you're the hungry novice, or you're sincerely looking for more of God and you're hungry for it, how do you keep moving in that direction? What if you're the restless veteran and you've been around the block spiritually a long time? You've been serving God for decades on end, and you realize you've been coasting in your faith, and yet you want to grow stronger in your faith, but how do I do that on a regular basis? What do I do? Well, here's what a lot of you do, because it's what I would do, right? What we do is we begin to crank up all of the messages, right? We need more messages, more podcasts. We need to listen to more worship. We need to visit more conferences. We need to read more books. And so we just begin to take it all in. And all of those things are good things. And it totally makes sense that we would want to do those things, because here's how our mindset works. That if God is working in me, that's the stronger my faith is going to get. The more of God I consume, the more spiritually fit I'm going to get. And so what do? We say, God, I'm here. Oh, God, I'm sitting in church. Here I am. God, just do it all in me. God, here I am at camp. Oh, God, just do it all in me. God, here I'm on my lunch break. I'm listening to the music. God, just do it all in me. And that's what we think. Right? We tend to crank up those spiritual things in our life if we want to grow stronger. But what if we have it backwards? What if it's not really how we become spiritually fit? And so I want to turn our attention to a passage in the book of Philippians where the Apostle Paul started a church actually in a Roman colony called Philippi. And it's now been several years later. He handed the church over to someone else to lead. Paul went on to do other things, and now he got arrested for preaching about Jesus. He's now in a Roman prison, and he's writing this letter to the people in Philippi, and he's writing to them about growing stronger in their faith, about keeping to grow strong. How can they continue to do that? And we pick this up in Philippians chapter 2, verse 12 and 13, and here's what Paul writes to them. He says, therefore, my dear friends, as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purpose. So let me read the back half of that one more time. He says, this is how I want you to keep moving forward. I want you to work out your salvation, work out your faith, work out your relationship with God with fear and trembling. For it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purpose. So what is Paul telling us? He's given us the answer to this question, what do I do to get spiritually fit? Your next fill-in. I have to work out what God is working in. I have to work out what God is working in, right? Isn't that what we just read? That we are supposed to work out our faith with fear and trembling. For it is God who works in us. He deposits all the things in us so that we can fulfill his purpose. It's another actionable outward, so that we can fulfill his purpose. We have to work out what God is working in. Have you ever felt God working in you? Maybe it was a message or a talk that you heard from somebody, and you thought to yourself, how does he know about my life? How does she know about my life? It's like they're reading my mail. It's like they're talking directly to me. And no, we don't have spies. We don't really. This is God working in you. He's speaking to your heart. He's molding and shaping you. Or maybe it's when you're listening to a song and it's like that song just hits you in your heart, and it's like the lyrics of that song have been a prayer in your heart. You didn't even know how to express it. And yet you were overwhelmed in the moment. That was God working in you. Or maybe it was a Bible study or a verse you read that just popped off the page and ministered to you exactly where you're at in your life. Guess what that is? That's God working in you. That's his Spirit working in you. Those are calories in, and it matters. But for some of us, we can overeat, right? We get on our spiritual couch and we go, oh my goodness, have you heard the latest Craig Rochelle sermon? Oh my gosh, wasn't that so good? Oh no. I listened to Stephen Furtick from Elevation. Oh my gosh. His messages just hit me right. Oh no, it's about Bob Goff. Bob Goff, have you read his book, Love Does? Oh my goodness, I love that. No, if you've not heard anything from Brene Brown, you are totally missing out. Oh no. No, I am going through a 14-week Bible study with Beth Moore right now, and I cry every week. It is amazing. Oh, no. I'm reading Jesus Calling. I've got Oceans on loop in the background, and I'm not kidding. It is just awesome. I'm just soaking it all in, and some of you right now are like, what in the world is he talking about? There's a lot of Christians speak, so just hold on, right? But some of us, right, we want to crank it up, and we're like the spiritual cookie monster. We just, nom. We're just taking it all in. We just want to consume. And yet that wasn't the end all for God's plan for our spiritual life. It wasn't just to consume it all so that we could just take it all in and sit on our couch spiritually. No. That's not what God has. Because here's the problem with all of that, your next fill-in. That deep faith, and this is a misconception, but deep faith is not just a collection of experiences. That doesn't create deep faith or strong faith. It's not just a collection of experiences. And those things are great, and they can help you, but it's only half of the equation. Why? Because all of that is calories in. We're taking everything in spiritually. We're taking in the 6-week reading plan, right? We're doing the kids' devotion. We're doing it all in. Now let me show you a picture real quick. I want you to look at this picture, and no, that is not me. And I know there might have been some confusion, like neck down, whatever, but that is not me. This is Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time, 28 Olympic medals. Can you believe that? And at his peak training, Michael was eating 12,000 calories a day. 12,000, probably 6 times what we're supposed to eat on a daily basis. And I want you to look at the picture again, because you go, how does he maintain a figure that looks like that? Why? Because even though he's taking in 12,000 calories a day, he is working it out. He's using all of those calories to his advantage by training hard. And it allowed him to win at the game of life. It allowed him to win all of those Olympic medals. And the thing that is true of him physically is true of us spiritually. right? The same that is true of the dad bod is true of the God bod. You like that? See what I did there? You can't work it out from the couch. You can't spiritually get fit if you are only taking in. Paul told us that we have to work out our salvation. We have to work out our faith. It is not enough to just have God work in you. Those calories in are meant to be translated into calories out. To work out our faith. And when we work out our faith, that's what causes us to be strong in our faith. It's what causes us to go deep in our faith when we are actively working it out. You see, deep faith, on the other hand, your next fill-in, is a collection of applied experiences. That's how we get deep faith. That's how we get strong faith. It's about applied experiences. Attending a church service doesn't make you strong in your faith more than sitting in a garage makes you a car. Or attending a music festival makes you a musician. It doesn't. But going to a church service, or going to a camp, or going to a retreat, or going to a conference, and then going home and applying it can make all the difference in the world. Not only for you, but for those around you. It can change your faith in a profoundly deep and strong way when we take what we're learning and all of those calories in and we begin to apply them to our life and we work it out. We work it out. It becomes applied every single day. And so if you want to know what the game plan is for getting to where you want to be spiritually, if you want to know what the game plan is to become spiritually fit, it's a whole lot easier than you think. You have to get off the couch spiritually and begin to work it out. You have to apply your faith. You have to work out your salvation. You have to put your faith into practice. You have to do something that God's been wanting you to do. You have to develop a habit that God's been wanting you to develop. To work on a character trait that God's been wanting you to work on. To love someone that Jesus has been wanting you to love. To forgive someone that God has been wanting you to forgive. To invite somebody to church that you live by. Invite somebody to church that you work with. To help someone in your community who needs it, to volunteer and lead a small group for students, to serve in kids ministry, to go on a missions trip. You have to begin to work out all that God is doing in you. It's the only way that our faith gets stronger is through application. It's by working out all of those calories. And here's what Paul says in the following verses. Here's what he says will happen if you will do that. If you will work out your faith with fear and trembling, and all that God is working in you, you will work out for his future purposes. This is what Paul says, verse 15. He says, then, everybody say then, right? That's what we circle when we're reading our Bible. Then is an actionable word. Then tells us that we have to pay attention to what just came before this. Paul says, then you will shine among them like stars in the sky as you hold firmly to the word of life. Oh, and that's not all. He says, not only are you going to shine for the world to see, then I will be able to boast on the day of Christ that I did not run or labor in vain. If you work out all that God is working in, all of our experiences won't be in vain. All the church services that we sat in won't be in vain. All the camps or retreats or the books or the messages or the worship that we listen to won't be in vain. All of it will have mattered. You will grow and you will shine as you are working out all that you are taking in. And it's why I want to challenge you to start working out your faith in some very specific ways that you've never done before. Why do I want to challenge you in this? Because this is what's going to help you grow in your faith. This is how you're going to get stronger in your faith. If you're saying, Ryan, I've wanted to grow stronger and I don't know how, I'm going to give you some things right now, some simple exercises for you to grow in your faith. Little did you know when you came to church today, you were going to get a workout plan. Aren't you excited? It's a workout plan for our faith. Now, this list is not exhaustive, but this will give you a good running start to work out what God is working in, to help you stretch those spiritual muscles, to get off the couch, so to speak. And the first thing is to join a serving team. For you to join a serving team, if you've been coming here for a while and you want to grow in your faith, you need to join a serving team to work out what God is working in. Maybe it's down in our kids area. Maybe it's on Wednesday night with our teenagers. Maybe it's our setup team or teardown team or greeters or ushers or tech team, whatever it might be. But to begin to grow your faith by working alongside your brothers and sisters in Christ. I'm telling you, it's a great way to meet new friends, to grow in relationships. And it's working out your faith. You're helping to create environments for other people to experience God. And your faith won't grow. It just won't until you begin to work it out. And this is one of the best ways to do it. To say, God, I'm going to be a part of your team through Riverway Church. The next thing I would encourage you to do is to invite someone to church. This is going to grow your spiritual muscles. Right? Who do you already have relationship with? Who have you been building a relationship with in your community, in your neighborhood, at your workplace that you could invite to church? And I would agree. I think it's a little intimidating at first to invite someone to join you. But when you do, you are working out your faith to say, hey, would you come sit with me? In fact, right away in February, we're starting a brand new series called Parenting in the 21st Century. Great way. We're going to send out a mailer to 50,000 homes. Great way. They're going to see it places. Great way. They're going to see it on Facebook. They're going to see it all over the place. It's a great way to invite people. Say, hey, would you come sit with me? Next thing I would encourage you to do is to share something you're learning. Maybe it's to share it out loud in your small group. Maybe it's to share it with somebody one-on-one over lunch about what God's doing in your life. Maybe it's to share your faith with someone as God gives you an opportunity to talk about what God is doing in your life. And I got to tell you, it might help the person you're talking to immensely, but it's also going to grow your spiritual muscles. As you begin to talk about the things that God's doing in you, you're working out all the calories that you're taking in. The next thing I would encourage you to do to stretch those muscles is to be intentionally generous. It's simply saying, God, I've got some time to give. I've got some money to give. I've got some talents to give. Can you use me? And as you begin to do that, as you pray that prayer, God's going to open up doors and opportunities for you to say, God, you can have some of my time and you can have some of my money and you can have some of my talents. God, I want it to build your kingdom. I want it to be bigger than me. I want it to live beyond me. I want to invest in something that's going to last for all of eternity. Wow. It's going to grow your faith strong as you begin to do that. Next, I would encourage you to strengthen your faith. Another opportunity is to get water baptized. If you're an adult and you've never been water baptized, I encourage you to do that. Our next baptism is coming up in a couple months, and you can sign up today on the connection card. But just for you to say, I want to follow the example that Jesus gave us by being baptized, to publicly declare my faith, my intention to follow Jesus. That baptism represents your old life passing away and you being raised again into new life. And I can't explain it other than to say, I believe that something supernatural happens in the natural when people take that step of water baptism. You come out of that water different. Something that Jesus leads us into and invites us into. Another thing I would invite you to do to stretch your faith, to work it out, is to attend Riverway 101 or become a partner with Riverway. Right? Our 101 class is the first Sunday of every month during our second service. It's how you hear about the vision of the church, why we got started, right? Our heart behind this whole thing. We have a lunch together. I mean, that's such a simple step. Or maybe others of you have been around for a while and it's time to become a partner. It's how we express membership. Coming up on February 19th, how you can say, yes, I'm a part of Riverway Church. This is my home church, and I'm linking arms with other believers to help pool our strengths together to help make a difference in this community so that many other people can find faith in Jesus. Another way to stretch your faith is to start a small group and lead others. You're gonna start hearing about some new groups for this spring next month. And maybe God's asking you, come on, use some of that time, use some of that talent, and lead other people. Maybe it's a one-time activity group where you're just good with people. And you say, hey, I could lead an activity group, a night out for guys or for ladies or a family night. Or you say, I could lead a session group where 6 to 8 weeks, we could do something for 6 to 8 weeks, and I could lead some people. God, use me. You say, Ryan, I don't know that I feel prepared. Welcome to the club. Which one of us ever feels fully prepared to do what God's asking us to do? To step out in faith, to work out what God is working in. To say, God, all the things that you're feeding me, now I want to do something with it. I don't want to become spiritually overeating where I'm just taking it all in and not doing anything with it. God, I want to use all of it for you. Because here's what James 1:22 says as we get ready to close. He says, but don't just listen to God's word. Don't just sit on the couch and take it all in. Don't just let it be a feeding frenzy. No. James says, you must do what it says. Otherwise, you are only fooling yourselves. In other words, you're just going through the motions and nothing's going to change in your life. You're fooling yourself to think that the only side of the equation is just calories in. James says you're fooling yourself if you think that's what God is requiring of you and inviting you into. He says, no, you have to work out your faith, to work out all that you're taking in, to recognize that God's plan, his spiritual fit plan, is the very best plan to grow. And so if you're ready to work it out, we're here to help you. And so today on your connection card, you may not even know what that step is yet. All I want you to write anywhere on your connection card is I'm ready. Just I'm ready. And make sure you put your name and your phone number, and we're gonna call you this week to say, what do some next steps look like for you? We wanna help you grow. So here it is. We've created the environment. We've given you God's word. And now, only you can cause your faith to grow. I can't do it for you. Only you can. So you have to decide in this new year of 2023, am I willing to take some steps to get off the couch and work out all that God is doing in me? And if so, then just write, I'm ready on your connection card. I think there's some of the things I talked about today below that you could check on your connection card, and that's great if you want to check. But otherwise, if you just want to have a conversation, just say, I'm ready, and we'll call you and say, all right, what does that look like for you? How can we help you become more spiritually fit? We want to help you become spiritually fit. All right, we've got the reading plan in there. We got the Kids Devo plan on your way out. All the tools are at your disposal. And yes, we're going to continue feeding, but we're also determined in this new year to get off the couch. and grow our spiritual muscles, to grow stronger and deeper in our faith. So would you mind closing your eyes all over this room as we get ready to pray? And just 30 seconds between you and God, even if you're watching online, just close your eyes with us and just take this moment to just ask this question: God, what are you asking me to do with what you're doing in me? It's a very simple question. Just ask him this: God, what are you asking me to do with what you're doing in me? Let's do that right now, just you and God, 30 seconds. Heavenly Father, we recognize how easy it is to become so self-focused with everything going on in our life, to be preoccupied with our careers and our families and accomplishments and hobbies and all of those things. And sometimes we just forget that while we're taking everything in spiritually, we forget that it's been stopping there. And we ask today, with your Spirit's help, to get us off the couch spiritually and to move us into action, to work out all that you're working in. That we wouldn't be the kind of people, like James says, that we're just fooling ourselves. But we'd be the people in Philippi who are taking Paul's words and say, yes, we're working out our faith. We're accomplishing your purposes. So for those of us that are already working it out, God, give us resolve in our faith. Give us resolve in all the things that we're putting our hands to, and bless us in those things, and give us the spiritual energy in those things. And for those of us that would self-admit, yeah, I've been sitting on the couch, give us the courage to say, I'm ready. I'm ready to take some steps to apply all that I'm learning. And for those of you in the room, and maybe you're not following Jesus, maybe the very first step for you is to say yes to him, to receive his forgiveness and hope and new life. And if that's you today, I want to invite you to repeat a prayer after me. I want to invite you into this prayer that will do exactly that, to start this year on exactly the right note. So if that's you, just repeat after me. Say, dear Jesus, thank you for receiving me just as I am. Thanks for loving me right where I'm at. And today I receive your love. Today I ask you to forgive me of all my sin. God, I receive your forgiveness. And I'm saying yes to you. I want to make you the leader of my life. I want to follow you from this day forward. In Jesus' name, amen.